Man, this is spicy.
I know, this elbow sucks, but I promise it's gonna be worth it. We're almost there.
That's what you did. I couldn't tell. Holy shit.
Winnie, totally worth it.
In today's video, we're gonna be talking about how to get a really good tattoo sleeve and how to avoid getting a really bad sleeve that you regret. And as tattoos have emerged as the #1 way that people like to collect art, everybody and their dog wants to get a sleeve, right? And so how does somebody distinguish what a good sleeve consists of and what a really terrible sleeve consists of? Well, that's what we're gonna be going over today. So without further ado, let's get into how to get the best sleeve possible. So first things first, what is a sleeve? Well, a sleeve is an entire arm that's tattooed, from the top of the shoulder all the way to the wrist most of the time. And not only on the outside panel, but an entire full sleeve also wraps around to the inside of the arm. Now this is very important. See, there's a lot of examples of half sleeves. Now a lot of the time a half sleeve is from the shoulder to the elbow, but a true half sleeve also includes the inside on the bicep. Now the way that you compose a full sleeve and a half sleeve are similar, but there's a lot more thought process and work that goes into composing a sleeve that goes all the way down your arm as opposed to just halfway down your arm. Now, some full sleeves include the hand and some don't, and this is a very important factor to take into consideration. Now, it's not only negative imagery that can make a bad tattoo sleeve. The #1 cause for a bad tattoo sleeve is bad composition. Now this falls on the shoulders of the artist. So finding an artist who knows how to compose a sleeve plays a big part in what your sleeve is gonna look like. Not only composing a good tattoo, but also applying the tattoo the right way. Now, let's get into some design elements that can negatively impact the aesthetic of your tattoo. The first thing that I wanna share with you is legibility of the tattoo. Now, what do I mean by legibility? Well, I'm not talking about the reading of script in a tattoo, although a lot of tattoos include script. What I'm talking about is how well you can distinguish the subject matter in the tattoo. If a tattoo is not structured properly, you're not gonna be able to tell what it is. And that's really easy to mess up with something like a full sleeve, because although you have a lot of room to work with, artists will try and cram way too much subject matter into the piece. A good sleeve has flow. A bad sleeve lacks this flow. Now, body flow plays a major part in the composition of a tattoo. Proper flow adheres to the muscular structure of the body part that you're tattooing. So you have to take into account the muscles, the bones, the type of skin, and also where the body bends and moves. Now, this is the singular most important thing to pay attention to when creating a good sleeve. And that is recognizing that we are tattooing a living canvas. We are creating a living piece of art. It goes on your body, and it is going to live on your body for the rest of your life, if it's done in the right way. So I want to show you some examples of some really bad tattoo sleeves. As you can see here, it's jumbled and it's blurry and it just doesn't look right. Now here's an example of a good tattoo, but it lacks that body flow. The component of a really good application and really good body flow, these play a big part in creating a really good sleeve. And now that you've seen some examples of really bad sleeves, I want to show you an example of a really good sleeve. Now, what better way for me to show you an example of a really good sleeve than to do one here with you right now? So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my client and good friend, Ethan.
This is Ethan. I'm back.
I've been working on Ethan's sleeve for the last 4 years. When I first started Ethan's sleeve, I started from the shoulder and went down to the elbow. This is the most optimal starting point for a full tattoo sleeve. It gives you the main subject matter that people are gonna see first. This is also the biggest building block of the sleeve. It has the most substance and the most meat, so you gotta make sure that it's delicious. Now, this was a really special piece to do because Ethan actually won my very first Tat Venture giveaway. This is where I took him on a trip out to Moab, Utah, and really got to hear his story and hear the essence of who he is so I can compose a tattoo specifically designed for him. Not only for his arm, but for him as a person. Because remember, tattoos are a living piece of art, and they have to contain the essence of the person who wears it. Now, let's go out and meet Ethan, and I'll show you why this is the best sleeve I've ever done.
a year before I won the tattoo, I messaged him because he did an Millennium tattoo on our buddy Tall Boy. And I was like, hey, I want my first tattoo to be from you. And that was no shit close to a year before I won Tat Venture 3. And I told him, I was like, yeah, my first tattoo is gonna be from you. And so kind of put it out there and then saw the giveaway come up. And so I spent $128. I bought a t-shirt, I bought some pants, I bought a necklace, won the giveaway, and it came with a 5-day trip to Moab where we went skydiving, jeeping, did some hikes, rented razors, all expense paid. And on that trip, Winnie and I had a lot of time and spent a lot of time talking about tattoos and kind of put life to my vision, so to speak.
I love Moab and excited to explore more. The vibe, man. Yeah. It's been awesome.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into until I showed up to the shop after our trip, and I sat down. He pulls out his iPad and he was like, "You ready to see what you're getting today?" And showed it to me, and oh man. Yeah, I got a little emotional when I saw it. And again, we'd had a few conversations about it, and other than that, I didn't see what I was getting until the day we showed up for the shop. So when we first started my sleeve, we started with this shoulder piece here, and this was my first tattoo ever. And it starts from my shoulder, went all the way down past my elbow. It's a Mardi Gras mask with some other elements kind of baked into it from the Tat Venture 3 trip that I won. It's been a part of me ever since, and now that I look down at my arm, it feels like this is what my arm's always meant to look like.
Now, as you can see in this piece, I was very mindful with how I constructed the flow. A very common structure that I use in almost every tattoo that I do is the S-curve. Now, this is where I put a round image to cover the deltoid. That's because that is the shape of the shoulder. Now, as you can see, the tattoo flows from the tricep all the way down to the front, wrapping around to the ditch. Now, this perfectly outlines the muscular structure of the tricep. Now, this connecting point is also right here around the elbow. Now, the elbow is one of the most important parts of the arm. Why, you may ask? Well, the elbow is the fulcrum of the arm. Fulcrum meaning where the arm bends. Now, when you're working with a living, moving canvas, you have to make sure that you compose it to be flattering, to move the elbow very naturally, very functional. If a tattoo lacks functionality, it just looks awkward, and you don't want your tattoo to look awkward. You want it to look like it's supposed to be there. Now, as you can see here on Ethan's elbow, I was very mindful with leaving it open towards the bottom so that when I constructed the piece that comes up from his forearm, it flows very naturally into the piece that I constructed for his elbow. You may be able to create a tattoo that looks good while the arm is straight, but where a lot of people lack consideration is constructing a tattoo that looks good while the arm is also bent. As you can see here with Ethan's tattoo, it looks beautiful while his arm is straight, and it also looks very appealing as he bends his arm. Now, even if you're not a tattoo artist or you're a beginner tattoo artist, it's very easy to see the difference that this makes in creating a tattoo that looks good and functional with the body. Now, as a tattoo collector, this is very important for you to know because it can help in finding the right artist to create your sleeve. Now that you can see how the top part of this flows through the elbow, let's take a journey into the inside of Ethan's bicep. I've used these smoky flow lines from the outside of the arm and brought them into the inside of the arm. This consistent subject matter throughout the entirety of the arm ties all of the panels together and makes it look consistent through the entirety of the sleeve. This piece that you see here on the bicep also has a super cool story. Now let me let Ethan tell you a little bit more about how this piece came into fruition.
So after we started my sleeve with Tat Venture 3, about a year and a half later, we went on a quick trip to Vegas where we saw Swedish House Mafia, which was one of my favorite DJ groups. And obviously we were doing a New Orleans themed sleeve, so we went to Vegas for a couple of days. And then when we came back, I showed up to the shop and Drew's like, here's what we're doing. And so he threw a voodoo doll on my arm. But the significance of this is the voodoo doll is coming down through this ring, and the ring signifies the main stage from Swedish House Mafia's set that they had, where they had this massive ring on their main stage for visuals and things. And so he incorporated that trip into this piece so beautifully by doing that.
So as you can see, not only was the composition of the tattoo really well thought out, but the story has so much intention and so much purpose. There's history behind the imagery that we used to create this tattoo for Ethan. And that is the true makings of a very special, amazing tattoo. Very thoughtful construction, but very deep lore and storytelling. Because as a tattoo artist, that's what I do. I tell stories. I illustrate the story of my client and put it onto their skin forever. Now, let's move on to the next part of the arm and the final leg of this journey. This is absolutely, without a doubt, the most special tattoo story ever told. As we learned before, Ethan won the tat adventure to Moab where we did the top part of his arm, but in the craziest turn of events, fate had blessed Ethan with yet another tat adventure win. Ethan also won tat adventure number 6 to Paris, France, which is absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe it myself when it happened. And you're not going to believe the tattoo that came from this. This was the most memorable tattoo I have ever done. This is the Mona Lisa portrait. We did this in Paris, France. Now, Ethan, tell us a little bit about this experience in creating this tattoo.
So going to Paris, France was a life-changing experience for me. I'd never been to Europe. I'd never seen the Eiffel Tower. So getting to spend 12 days there with Winnie was an epic time. We went and did a variety of different things, from going to the Louvre to going to Disneyland Paris to going to Versailles. This was going to be my third piece added to my sleeve. And so not just from the work that I have personally on my body, but also just from seeing his art over and over again, had a lot of confidence and trust in Jroo and how important that is in your artist to be able to give them a direction and let them run with it. I did this tattoo blindfolded, and I didn't see what it was until it was done and inked and on me. So adding the Mona Lisa is a special piece for me because we went to the Louvre the day before and spent half a day there walking around. And if you've been to the Louvre, there's not a lot of signs pointing you in the right direction of look where you're looking for things. Maybe they are, I just don't speak French, I don't know, but probably. But we were walking around for a few hours, and I was a little ahead of the group, and I looked down this little hallway and there was the Mona Lisa. It's a smaller painting in this massive room. There's huge paintings everywhere, and there's just a sea of people, you know, in line to get a close look. And I was immediately stopped in my tracks and took a look at it from afar, and then went to go find the group to go show them that we found the Mona Lisa. And Jroo captured that moment without me even realizing it, and why the Mona Lisa is now a piece of me.
Now, as you can see, I used the same smoky flow to tie the Mona Lisa portrait into the rest of the arm. Now, this is the singular most important aspect of the entire tattoo process, because without that essence and that purpose of why he got this tattoo, it's just a decent, really good-looking tattoo. This is why this tattoo could only belong to Ethan. And this is what makes a tattoo so empowering for the person who wears it. It has not only the vision and the artistry of the artist, but it's infused with the character, the story, and the essence of the person who wears it. Now, not only was the inside of his forearm inspired by this Paris trip, but also the outside of his forearm. Now, as you can see, it flows very naturally into the outside panel of his arm. Now, when it comes to creating a perfect sleeve, this seamless, flawless transition is so important. It all flows so naturally in and out of itself, not only from the inside of the forearm, but to the outside of the forearm. The wings of the bird create this flow line up into the fulcrum of the elbow. It looks good when it's bent, and it looks good when it's straight. It's very functional with his arm. And as we mentioned before, functionality with a sleeve is so vital in creating that super nice, natural aesthetic. Something else that you want to pay close attention to when creating a full sleeve is the contrast of the subject matter. What am I talking about when I talk about contrast? I'm talking about the relationship with the blacks to the whites. Now, not the white ink, but the negative space of the skin showing through. The higher the contrast, the more legible the tattoo is going to be. As you can see in Ethan's full sleeve, there's a lot of skin showing through giving a lot more contrast to the black ink that I put into his arm. Contrast isn't only about the relationship with the darks and the lights. There's also contrast in the texture. And as you can see here in the wing, there's a lot of texture here in the feathers. It almost looks like you can run your fingers through the feathers. This creates powerful imagery. And the more powerful the imagery is that you infuse into your subject matter, the more emotion you're gonna be able to convey in the tattoo, and the more vibrant and lively the tattoo will be overall. Now, all of this imagery and all of this body flow, these were the key components for why this sleeve looks so amazing. This was a 4-panel sleeve composing of the outside panel from the shoulder to the elbow, the inside panel of the bicep, the inside of the forearm panel where we see the Mona Lisa, and the outside panel where it comes from the wrist all the way up through the elbow. And this nice milky smoke effect is what ties all these panels together so seamlessly. So now that I've shared with you why Ethan got this tattoo, and also how I was able to bring this vision of his tattoo to life, now it is time to finally finish up my best sleeve of all time.
This has been a project we've been working on now for a little over 4 years, and it has been a great experience for me. I feel like every time I come, I level up a little bit as a person, learning and growing, and seeing just beautiful art continue to grow and scale into my arm is something I am geeking out about still. Finishing my sleeve has been a project. It's been a journey. It has been something that has required a lot of patience, over 40 hours of sitting in the chair and getting tattooed, and having the vision, having the game plan, and having the patience. It's not something you're gonna get overnight. I'm grateful I waited, and I'm grateful I made the right choice in who and where I decided to get my sleeve from. If you've ever thought you were somebody that wanted to get a full sleeve, you have now found where you're gonna get your sleeve from. It's right here in Olympus Tattoo by this gentleman right here, Winnie the Jroo.
Man, this is spicy.
I know, this elbow sucks, but I promise it's gonna be worth it. We're almost there.
That's what you did. I couldn't tell. Holy shit.
I love what you did here. And from this piece into this piece, oh man, that flow is so sick. Winnie, totally worth it.
Now, this is the makings of an absolutely perfect full sleeve tattoo. We have the flow, we have the composition, we have the contrast. Most importantly, we have the story behind it all. Based on Ethan's reactions, I think I did what I came here to do, and that is deliver not only a beautiful tattoo, but a beautiful experience as well for the both of us. And out of that came an absolute masterpiece of a tattoo, but even more powerful, an absolute masterpiece of a friendship. And that is why I do what I do. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps in you finding the best possible outcome for your tattoo sleeve. And if you're an artist, I hope this helps in creating your next masterpiece as well. And if this video provided any value at all to you, please show me some love back by leaving me a like, dropping a comment in the comments below, hitting that subscribe button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you so much, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to make your fucking bed.